So a judge is set to decide whether to remove the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, from that election interference case against Donald Trump and others. That case centered on efforts to overturn the results of the last election in 2020. And in Georgia, President Biden, of course, won. And we've seen this testimony. There's nothing to do with the case itself, but it was quite dramatic last week on the misconduct claims against Willis, accused of benefiting financially from that romantic relationship with a special prosecutor named Nathan Wade, who she brought in on the case. So let's talk more about this with the trial attorney, Michelle Thomas, who joins the program right now. Michelle, thank you for coming on. When, I guess, number one, and what do you expect this decision from the judge to be? How do you think this will all play out now that we've seen the testimony?
Sure. So thanks so much for having me. The problem is that the defense did not necessarily show that there was a financial benefit and therefore a conflict of interest that justifies the disqualification of the prosecutor, of Fani Willis or the special prosecutor. I do expect the court to issue a ruling that identifies the weaknesses, certainly with credibility issues and testimony on Fani Willis's part. But do I think it rises to the level of disqualification? I do not, because for the most part, the allegations, the salacious allegations we heard last week during the trial are unrelated in large part to the issue of the election fraud and stealing.
Well, we'll see how quickly, I think, is interesting, too, because we're all interested in the timing of these cases. The judge rules, because then how quickly does the trial begin? But you say Fani Willis, Nathan Wade stay on the case. I want to ask you about New York, because we covered breaking news on the show on Friday with this civil suit involving Donald Trump. We'll put up the numbers, and Trump fines 354 plus in the civil case, 354 million plus, 83 million we have for the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. But you put interest, you add interest in, and it's like $500 million in total. So how will this one play out? Because I know the former president and his company, and they're going to appeal. But what does he have to come up with, and how quickly does he have to come up with or get somebody to post a bond?
Yeah, the former president has a problem. He's essentially house poor at this point. I understand that he had about $420 million in cash. And as you pointed out, he now owes more than $500 million between multiple cases. And so I do think that within the next 30 days, he's going to either have to pay the money to the court for it to be held while his forthcoming appeal is pending, or he's going to have to get an appeal bond. The problem he has is that he's been found to have lied to banks about his finances and about the amount of wealth that he actually has. So who is going to lend to him at this point to justify or support an appeal bond? So that's an issue that he's going to have to figure out within the next 30 days, as I understand it. Next
30 days. Okay, so who's going to lend to him on that? But also, how would the appeal go? Let me put up part of the summary judgment from the judge, Arthur Engeron, in this case. Their complete lack of contrition, he wrote, and remorse. The complete lack of contrition and remorse borders on pathological. They're accused not only of inflating asset values to make more money. The documents prove this over and over again, talking about the former president, his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, and others at the company. So where's the avenue here for appeal? Is there one?
Yeah, he's going to appeal. Now, the viability of that appeal and whether he'll be successful is another story. I don't think he will, mostly because this court went through painstaking detail in what was, I believe, a 92-page opinion identifying all of the lack of credibility, all of the refusal, as you mentioned, to acknowledge wrongdoing and be accountable for the role that he played in the business's fraud that he committed. Because of all of those issues and because the court went through such detail identifying and justifying its ruling, I don't see a court of appeals finding an abuse of discretion that would justify reducing the amount that he has to pay or overturning it or remanding it. So that's the hurdle is we have 92 pages worth of this court identifying all the reasons that supported his ruling to the tune of $354 million, and that's probably going to stand.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.